Welcome back to Chi-Town Lowdown. Picks against the spread segment, divisional round edition. It was a great travesty that I missed out last week on the wild card round. But the little one was not feeling well. I did get my picks in, but I wish I hadn't. Because man, it was a tough week. But before we jump into the wild card round and how we did, I'm going to go back over week 18 because I think we forgot to do that. And so I want to make sure you're up to date on exactly where we're at and what happened. So in week 18, Tom was 10 for 16. Luke was 8 for 16. Wargo was 7 for 16. And I was 9 for 16. That had brought the season totals for Tom up to 150 out of 248. Luke was at 140. Wargo was at 126 and I was at 127. So that was to round out the regular season. So the regular season title goes to Tom. Luke 10 points behind him. So with a pretty convincing lead there.
What do I get, guys?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's to be decided.
You get a new bank account.
Too soon.
And then into the wild card round, 6 games. Tom was 2 for 6, so maybe he's not gonna carry this.
The mark on the good team.
I think Tom's got it locked up. I don't think with the amount of games left in the year that anybody can get back. I mean, or it's really just me that would have a chance, but it's locked
up. Right, we're doubling the points for every playoff game from here on.
Yeah, triple for us, only double for Tom.
Right.
Close the gap.
So Tom was 2 for 6. He brought his season total to 152 for 254. Luke was 3 for 6, so he's at 143 for the year. Wargo was 4 for 6, so great showing there. 130 for 254 on the year, and I was 1 for 6. 128 for 254. So yeah, we'll just keep that moving along. So yeah,
good games. We had some good games.
Good games, yeah. Washington, that was cool.
Some bad ones.
Yeah, for me, obviously, I think there were some teams that performed better than I expected. Houston, Washington for sure. Those two were the big ones. I think all the other games kind of went, LA and Minnesota was kind of a toss up, but LA obviously, they ran away with that one. Buffalo pretty handily got the job done.
My bad on the lock there, guys. Get you back this week.
Yikes.
Expected Denver to put up a little bit more of a fight there. Touching on Houston, Jesse, obviously they're going up against KC this week. First matchup of the divisional round. I believe that's at 3 o'clock on Saturday. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, for anybody that's wondering. Houston at KC. Kansas City's favored by 8.5 points. What do you guys think?
Houston at KC.
KC favored by 8.5. I can start.
Can we get a weather report first? Because last year
there's a warm up here.
Miami went to Kansas City. That was very impacted by the weather.
I'm gonna say not this weekend, but next weekend. I think it might be real cold. I know there's a big Arctic surge coming. You know what it's? I'm gonna tell you this.
Clipper. We got a Clipper.
No, it's not. It's a Siberian Screamer. It's a cold air mass that is coming through.
Siberia?
We get the coldest temps of the year for a lot of people. So not this weekend, I would say. Maybe Sunday. So we'll have to look at those Sunday games. Go on. I'll look at some forecasts here.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a good game, especially if Houston plays like they did last week against the Chargers. The Houston defensive front with Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, the great linebackers, Azeez Al-Shaair, not the greatest person, but a great football player. And the great, pretty good secondary. Derek Stingley, all pro. and Kamari Lassiter, the rookie, played really well this year as well. But going up against the GOAT in Patrick Mahomes, right? Coming off not just 1 week of rest, but really two weeks at this point.
It's more
because
like if you week 17.
No, that's true. Will there be some rust? Possibly.
Rest versus rust.
Right. And I think, Kansas City's been in a position before where they've had to play a divisional round with a bye. And with Andy Reid as the coach, I think they'll be ready for this game. But, the spread being 8.5 points, I like Houston to keep it closer than that. Kansas City's season to this point has kind of been defined by close games. And I think if they continue to win, I think that will continue to be the case. So I'm going to take Houston to cover the spread in this one.
I'm not going to ride with Jesse. I will be on KC. We have got a healthy Patrick Mahomes. He's been a little bit banged up throughout the year. The fact that they have won a lot of close games, the Chiefs are 7-9 against the spread. 8.5 is a rather large spread here. I just, for Houston to continue the trend here, like Tom said last week, they've got one receiver in Nico Collins, damn good receiver. But it's just a thin team, and to lean on the defense as much as they are, God damn it. Now I'm thinking about moving back over to the Texans because that defense was formidable. That was quite a showing that they put on there. Man, yeah, I'm gonna stick with Faith and Jesse here on KC. I think they're gonna kind of get a little bit of that juice flowing, having as much rest as they had. I don't think it's going to be the case that we're seeing any rust out there. I think they're going to come ready to play in the three-peat. See all the hype videos and stuff. I was watching a little NFL Network, and they're really pumping their tires. So I think that they get through this divisional round, and they're going to cover the spread as well.
I think, Luke, did you go?
I did not. I'm going with KC as well. I think the more experience a team has, the less the old rest versus rust adage comes into effect. And obviously this KC team is, they've been in these positions before. So I think that they're really able to have taken advantage of those extra weeks to get healthy and really healthy, and to prepare for whoever the next opponent was. Obviously, in this case, being Houston, but yeah, I think that one thing that I picked the Chargers last week against Houston. I did not expect that game to go the way that it did. I give Houston props for the way that they played. Obviously, as you guys pointed out, their defense looked great. One thing that really stood out to me was the fact that they stayed consistent and persistent with the run game. And Joe Mixon. There was a graphic that they put up at one point in the game where it was he had literally 4 yards in the first quarter, 25 in the second, 60 in the third, and then ended with 120 rushing yards on the game, I think, and 25 carries.
He's got an ankle.
I think if they try to stick to that again this week, it's going to be to their detriment in the sense that Kansas City is not going to let them run the ball. And Houston has not been able to protect C.J. Stroud this year. Last week, they gave up 3 sacks in the game against San Diego. Obviously, San Diego has a great pass rush with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, but I think Kansas City's defense is what sticks out in this game, and I think that they cruise in this one.
Joe Mixon limited in practice today with an ankle injury.
Good to know.
Interesting. I am also going Kansas City.
This.
I don't think that the 8 scares me. To your point, Jesse, with them
8.5.
8.5 being, they do a lot of close games, but I think the Chiefs in the playoffs, off 2 weeks, rest, they're going to come out and be like, we are the Chiefs, baby, and we're ready to show everybody why we're, going to win the Super Bowl again. So I think they're going to have that mindset, and sometimes, you're being off for that long, they're ready to come and play. They're not really rusty. They might be a little bit I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't even know, like, the college playoffs was, all the 1 seeds that rested got bumped. But
That's different.
the one thing that, Patrick Mahomes has gotten hit a lot more this year. And with the Texans defensive front, if they can get pressure on Mahomes, that's the only way they're going to win this game. So that's something to watch. But with Mixon being like hurt, maybe that's a big deal. But yeah, defense is going to have to keep him in it, and with Mahomes on the other side, that's tough for me.
This is tough because I do see a world where the Texans can kind of make the Chiefs at least uncomfortable in their offense. And as we've seen with the close games being what they've been this year, Chiefs are, again, 7-9 against the spread. So, or 7-9.
C.J. Stroud, though, impressed me last game. And it looked more like, his rookie season.
But he's been unimpressive too. Remember, he big broed Caleb, and then he played like dog shit the next few games.
That, but he still isn't
He didn't really play good much of the season after that.
Yeah, but
right.
These teams did play in Kansas City on December 21st, and the Texans lost by 8 points. I'm looking at the box score, pretty even, other than the fact that the Texans turned the ball over twice. They did have some success running the ball, 17 carries, 84 yards for 4.9 yards per rush. Matched the Chiefs on third down, 7 for 13. They were 1 for 3 in the red zone. So, I think if the Texans are going to keep this close, they're not going to be able to turn the ball over. And they're going to have to finish drives with points. But I think after the way they played last week, that they're going to have some confidence to be able to do that. So that kind of looking at this kind of reinforced my thoughts on taking them.
Yeah, not a bad pick.
No, and like we said, if their defense shows up, I mean, it's just Vegas isn't really in a habit of losing money, as we know. 8.5 points in a divisional round. It's a big line. Big line.
Okay, next game.
Next game is going to be Washington.
Sorry. Weather report. I was wrong again. The cold front is going to be here, I think, Saturday night into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Warms back up next week. Low of 10 in Kansas City.
This game's at 3:30, though, in the afternoon.
I know, but it's going to be probably in the 20s with some cold air mass. With 10 to 20 mile an hour wind, it's going to be cold. So Sunday, obviously, is going to be a little colder, but getting later in the game in Kansas City, it's going to get cold.
Okay. Washington at Detroit, -9.5.
Washington. Gosh, man, I was just talking about the big lines. This is a tough one. I'll probably just be on Detroit here. It's kind of my knee-jerk reaction to looking at it. They've been easy to pick. So over Detroit, keep on rolling, represent the NFC North, and we'll have to wait another week to interview Ben Johnson.
Something with Jaden Daniels and that Washington team
Dude, that stiff arm on 94, that guy couldn't tackle anybody. When Chris Collinsworth highlighted him and watched the highlight reel, he's like, he's been getting pressure, but not really finishing the job. And then Jaden just stiff arms the shit out of him for that first down.
They are in some close games.
Yeah.
All year long.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go with them here. I think their defense is not enough to be competitive with this Lions team. You know, the defense of the Lions.
You're fine, Tom. It's fine.
Well, Goose chimes in here for
he doesn't like Tom's pick.
His thoughts on the game. Washington makes me nervous. Jaden Daniels is like he just, especially on crucial downs, his legs are just so dynamic.
I'm just watching Goose right now.
That play that you had pointed out, Wargo, where Cansey had him dead to rights, and it was like it wasn't even a challenge for him to get away. It was just like, there is no way you're tackling me. And It was like it wasn't a like Derrick Henry put him in the ground stiff arm. He was like, bye, and like just walked away from him. And it was like, how the hell did he just do that? Kalijah Cansey is not like a nobody. He's a good player for Tampa Bay. And he's been doing that all year. It doesn't matter what defense he's playing against. That makes me really nervous. And obviously, Detroit's defense has taken some pretty major hits with injuries and throughout the year. So that makes me nervous. But to Tom's point, or maybe Wargo, you had mentioned this as you were closing out your points. Washington's defense, I don't see how they can slow down Detroit. And if it's going to be a track meet, I will take Detroit at this point.
Also, Detroit's going to be damn loud in there. First 1 seed, 2 games to the Super Bowl for the Lions.
Yeah, after last year.
Yeah, and, I know Jaden's cool, calm, and collected, but this is a different beast than Tampa. So
True.
You got to keep that in mind.
What are you on?
Also, the home teams all won last week except for Tampa. So I don't know. I'm going Detroit.
Detroit.
I hate these big spreads though. Not because I don't know.
It's scaring me.
Jesse?
Yeah, Washington's been, I guess you could say, they've had luck on their side. They've been
it's magic.
One of those faithful teams that has kind of had the ball bounce their way a lot, you could say.
Yeah. That doink here is – anytime I see a doink go in, I just immediately get so angry. It's just –
doink.
It's a team that beat us on a Hail Mary, too.
Doink go in, a ball batted up in the air and caught by their wide receiver in the end zone to win a game. I think that there's something to that. There's something to the universe wanting this team to move forward in the NFL playoffs. I don't think that it's going to be enough. I don't think the universe is going to be able to will them into the conference championship round.
This is making me want to go Washington. Because you're about to say Detroit, and we all went on Chargers last week, and that was the only game that it went.
No, I was going to. I'm going to take Washington.
Okay.
I do think Detroit wins the game, but Washington is a Baker Mayfield fumble away from being in Cancun this week. Which man, you got to feel for Baker a little bit. Because that turnover at the end of that game, I think probably cost him the game because they gave Washington short field. They were able to score. I think they did have a chance to get the ball back, but then they gave it back to Washington and didn't see it again. So Yeah, I like it to be close though. Divisional round, I understand Washington's defense isn't as good as or might not match up super well with this Detroit offense, but I don't think any defense does. But I still think that they've gotten to this point. They have a great defensive minded coach. They've got Bobby Wagner. They've got veterans who have been and played in these big games. Marshawn Lattimore came back last week and was a little bit of a hothead, but I think maybe that does something to the psyche of these Lions
As long as
receivers.
playing against Mike Evans, he's just a normal person. So he was getting cooked though there at the beginning of the game. Evans had his number. I'd like it to be close to. I don't know. I like Tom's point about the environment in Detroit. I bet it's going to be crazy. And just a nugget of semi-related Bears news. David Montgomery might be able to come back and play in this game, I think. I've seen something about that. Would love to see David get what he would have never found with the team that drafted him. So best of luck to David Montgomery coming back from injury and hopefully some plays.
No, it looks like he's going to be playing, Luke. I just did a quick Google.
Sweet. Next game, Rams at Philly. Philly's favored by 6.
Oh, Zach Ertz limited in practice as well. That's on the last one.
He's big for them. He's really, really big for them. When on those crucial downs, especially third down, Daniels is looking for him in these moments. So that could be big.
Yep. Going into this one, gosh, I just keep picking all the favorites. It's really hurting me. The Rams are a really good team. They don't have the best record, obviously, in the playoffs here. But at 11-7, there's not a better 11-7 team than the LA Rams. We said it last week, multitude of times. Got a lot to play for here. They're going against Saquon and Jalen Hurts. Got to get Jalen off the concussion protocol, make sure he's good to go between the years. I don't know. If there's a spot for me to not pick a favorite, it feels a little bit odd to do the 6-point line versus the 9.5 and the 8.5. But I think I like the veteran leadership in Matt Stafford, Sean McVay. I just got to ride with my boy Paint here. He's got to do it. He's got to do it for us all.
What I missed, sorry, my dog had to take a poop, and I couldn't keep him from that,
Jesse's on Washington. Yumi and Wargs are on Detroit. The game we're picking currently is Rams at Philly. Philly is favored by 6. Wargo is with the Rams. I would love to see the Rams beat Philly here.
For Paint.
For just I like that team more than I like this Philly team. But I think that they are going to make things difficult for Matt Stafford. They get him in Philly, and their pass rush seems like it's kind of coming together. Nolan Smith and all the other Georgia players that they have, but particularly Nolan Smith stood out last week. I was listening to a kind of wild card recap podcast this earlier today from Greenlight Pod, and they were talking about one particular play that Nolan Smith made where Elton Jenkins was polling, and Nolan Smith just blew his ass up and knocked him out of the game. And all he was doing is just setting an edge, and just the way he was setting said edge was like, don't come pulling around this corner and thinking that you're going to be clearing the way. Nolan Smith, compared to Elton Jenkins, by the way, he's probably got about 80 pounds on him, but he destroyed his ass and knocked him out of the game. And that's just like one of the lesser pieces of that D-line. They've got Jalen Carter. and Jordan Davis and Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat, and it's just like the list goes on and on and on. And then obviously their secondary this year, 2 rookies with DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, and then you've got the veteran with Darius Slay, who made an amazing interception last week, and then great safety play too with Gardner Johnson and Reed Blankenship. The list goes on and on with that defense. I think they're really good. With Stafford, if you can really, obviously he's going to be able to decipher a lot of what you do prior to the snap, but that's really not what Vic Fangio does. It's like, if we can create a shell, put it, prevent you from getting big shots, and we can get pressure with these guys up front, and we can just rotate them in and out nonstop, and it's just they stay fresh. So I think that'll be tough for the Rams. Like I said, I hope they do well, but I'm going to go with Philly here.
I'm going with Philly as well. Luke did a great job highlighting the defense.
Can I get a quick injury update in? I'm the injury update guy.
Yeah.
For the Rams wire here, we've got Tyler Higbee, who was limited today, as well as Witherspoon did not practice. On the Eagles side, it's mostly just rest, so there's nothing of substance on that side. Byron Young with the hamstring, Kenny Pickett with ribs. So Hurts gets his bell rung. Kenny Pickett's got ribs. I mean, it could get bad fast, but sorry, just of note.
Yeah, and if Stafford, gets the call from AARP, then they got to put Jimmy Garoppolo in. So,
Jimmy G, Eastern Illinois.
Saquon had 302 yards from scrimmage when these two teams met last. Ran for 255 yards, caught another 47.
Yeah.
The Rams team was still this was week 12, I think. So this was kind of at the peak of the Eagles' dominant stretch they were on. Maybe they've let off the gas a little bit since then, or maybe they did at the end of the year. Obviously now we're in the playoffs, so they're looking to play their best football yet. But the Rams team, I think, has improved since that week 12 game. So I don't expect Saquon to have quite as much of an impact as he did in that first matchup, but I think he still makes his mark on this game, and Philly's able to secure it by more than a touchdown or more at home. So I'm going to take them.
I'm going to backtrack. I was going to take the Rams as my, upset, if you will. Because the Rams are looking a lot like their 2022 team in a lot of ways. Matt Stafford's a little bit, older now, but they got a lot of weapons, and this defensive front is playing really well, and that's why I was going to take them. But you guys kind of talked me out of it, and also the Eagles are weird. The Eagles, they're so good in so many. Their offensive line is so damn good.
Yeah.
And their defense is playing outstanding. A.J. Brown on the sideline being A.J. Brown's a little weird. Saquon Barkley's like a mitigator. He's great. Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's great. I don't think he's a great quarterback. Like he was in Alabama. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. And if they had an elite quarterback, they'd be unstoppable. But he sets them down a peg. And it's unfortunate because, I still think they win this game. That's why I'm going to pick them. But I can see the Rams winning this game easily. I could see that as well. But the fact that they're at home, the Eagles are at home, and that offensive line is just going to be tough for that great young defensive line to do anything. But I'm going to backtrack and take Houston instead of the Rams. So,
and then we are doing picks against the spread, Tom. So you were talking a lot about winning and losing the game.
I know. So I'm taking Texans to cover the spread but lose.
Okay.
And then I'm still taking Philadelphia, and then I'm taking whoever the favorite is in the game we just talked about.
He's taking Philly.
Detroit. Yeah, Detroit.
He's taking Detroit, Philly, and Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I wanted to take Kansas City, Detroit, and Rams, but I'm switching.
You gave your whole explanation for Phillies or for Eagles, Rams, and then you just ended it with "I'm going Houston," and that.
No, I said, and that's why I'm going to backtrack. And
I got you, Tom. I know where you were going, and I liked your Jalen Hurts take. I don't know. I think
he has been off. I don't know what it is. I feel like he's concussed. He needs like his receivers not to be reading self-help books on the sidelines during the games. Yeah. What the hell was that about?
It's weird.
Let me tell the world.
He gives me AJ Brown.
I'm mentally struggling right now. I need to read a self-help book while I'm playing a nationally televised game. Like, it's just like, what's the stupidest thing I can do? Like,
you know who he gives me vibes?
The best idea for, hurting my self-image. Let me do this. Like, light up a cigarette while you're doing that, AJ. Like, what point are you trying to make? Like, what is going on here?
Who's the guy that posts shit on
Antonio? You're thinking of Antonio Brown.
He gives me Antonio Brown shit, like vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's typical wide receiver one diva antics. Like, it's just funny.
Don't look at me, but make sure you look at me.
What do you have? 3 catches last game?
Last game of the week, and probably the one everybody's been waiting for. Obviously, battle of the MVP front runners here. Baltimore going to Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be a home dog in this one. Baltimore's favored by 1.5. Hopefully, this is just an amazing game. I'd really like to see both Lamar and Josh Allen just kind of taking control when they have the ball. And, if stuff's not there, I'd love to see them just making plays with their legs throughout the entire game. And because they're more than capable. Stuff really doesn't need to be forced with these two. They're really the two guys in the league where if something is not there, maybe Jaden Daniels now, but they have the ability to just say, first read's not there, second read's not there, I'm out of time. And honestly, third option in this case is the best option. And that's me just saying, watch me ball. And these guys are just incredible.
Does the winner of this game win the MVP?
Is postseason performance supposed to play into that at all?
Great question.
I don't think so.
I think traditionally MVP is a regular season award. So I don't think, despite it not being announced yet, I don't think that postseason performance is supposed to play into it. Now, if human beings are voting on this, how could it not? How could you not be swayed one way or the other?
They're sequestered. They can't watch.
But it's like, obviously, if I had a vote and I were watching this game on Sunday, I would be thinking about that.
Did you guys see? This is.
I think, in my opinion, Allen. If you look at the pieces around each of them, I like the pieces around Lamar more than I like the pieces around Allen. I like the pieces around several other teams a lot better than both of them. Imagine if Lamar had T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, or
Lamar was on the Eagles.
Josh Allen had him. Neither one of these teams really has a one. Zay Flowers isn't even playing in this game, hasn't played. Lamar's, doing a ton with nothing, but he does have Derrick Henry. In a great run game.
Mark Andrews, Bateman's pretty good.
Andrews is great. Isaiah Likely's great too. But I don't know. I think I'd probably take Allen. Maybe that's just a little bit of MVP fatigue for me. Lamar's got his already, and it'd be nice to see Josh get one. He's certainly done enough. It's, vanilla or chocolate. not to make it about race.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Title of the episode.
But it'll hopefully be a great game. And I think I'm going to go with Buffalo at home. I think this is the year they get over the hump and hopefully also take down the Chiefs in the next round. So
This is going to be a very cold game. Just so you know.
Sorry, Luke. Just you said Buffalo?
I'm going with Buffalo.
Okay, sorry.
I hate to see either of these teams lose, to be honest. Like, you know, you go to Lamar, who has had not great success in the playoffs. And, you know, people are going to start, you know, why isn't he going further? And then Josh Allen, same thing. Like, they're in a lot of the same – I don't know. But with Bills, they're supposed to be in a rebuilding year. So they're much better than I think people anticipated them to be. Having the home seed here or the home game here is, I think, a huge advantage. And I'm with you, Luke. I think that I've said it on here before. I think the Bills are going to go to the Super Bowl. So I got to go with the Bills.
So I do tend to agree with you there, Tom. I know we set up our little post-season fantasy draft, and I heavily wagered on the Bills. The thing about that is I was garbage at fantasy this year. The team that I did really well with, I got bounced in the first round of playoffs, and then the other two teams I was just garbage. So what do I know? And I think I'm going to fade myself with this pick. That's all to say. I think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to take the cake here. They're just a more complete team from top to bottom. Looking at PFF here, we haven't really viewed the money line versus the spread and the percentages for a little while here in the playoffs. This one's a tight one. The bets are 50-50 on the money line. Money is 53-47. And then on the spread, more of the same. The money is 61 on the Ravens. So
we're gonna see some cool plays no matter what.
Oh yeah, no, this is going to be an electric game, and when it comes down to it, I think that Lamar Jackson does shine a little bit more bright than Josh Allen does in those electric games like that. So it's also the completeness of the defense of the Baltimore Ravens versus the defense of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Derek went off on them the first time they played. I think he put that 90-yard run or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think they're going to be cranking on all facets: the passing game, the running game, special teams. It's going to be all Ravens here. I'd even look at the alternative spread. Ton of value to be had there.
I worry about the Bills' defense tackling Derrick Henry throughout the whole game.
Right.
That's my worry, but I think Josh gets it done.
All right.
I like Baltimore in this game.
Ooh, split.
I like the over. It's at 51.5. I think it's going to be high powered.
Ravens D, real good.
Probably come down to the last drive or two. But I think, as Wargo said, Baltimore's got the more well-rounded team top to bottom. Buffalo's defense, I think, is going to be their Achilles heel in this game. So I'll take Lamar in the Raves.
Is that the last one?
Closing point on that. Buffalo made a really good Denver defense. Made light work of them last week. But Baltimore's defense has not been what it has been in years past, right?
The last 5, 6, 7 weeks, they've been really good.
Statistically, year long, and that's a good point, Jesse. They've kind of come into form at the end of the year, but I do think that they are just not what they had been in previous years. And yeah, something's just telling me to go with Josh here. So I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah.
Team of destiny.
Good games all.
Divisional round, though. thank you everybody for joining this week. We appreciate it. Make sure
We got locks.
Oh yeah, locks.
I got Houston.
Jesse's got Houston.
Wow.
Right in the Houston wagon, huh?
Houston, we don't have a problem. We got a lock.
I'm still unsure of Houston, but I think the Eagles are better than the Rams. Oh God, I'm spiraling.
Tom wants to put his lock on the Rams, even though he's taking or he's taking Philly.
Yeah, I'm going to lock Buffalo, actually, now that I think about it. No, I will be on Baltimore, though. That's
Detroit.
Ooh, all right. Spread the ball around.
Tom's on Detroit. Wargo, you said yours is Buffalo?
Baltimore. It was a joke. I'm on Baltimore.
Yeah, sorry.
Nerd.
I think I'm going to go opposite. I think I'm going to go Buffalo.
Smart.
It's a real pick 'em.
That's
right.
personal picks. Thank you everybody for joining. Don't forget to go and watch the show prior. A little bit of Bears talk, coaching, carousel, just overall pessimism towards outlook for the future. As always, like and subscribe. Make sure that you are set up to receive notifications for any new content that's put out. Follow us on X.
Throw some comments down there.
Feel free, yes, to drop some comments. We always appreciate the feedback, and we will see you guys next week.
Football.